They don't think that they can do it, and I think most people that do are surprised that what people can and will do when they're given the opportunity and encouraged to take on more responsibility. I think that most restaurant owners struggle with this whole idea of having everything be perfect or exactly the way get done exactly the way that they would do it. And there's many ways to get to an end result. And I think what we need to do as owners is set up the end result that we want and the performance criteria or whatever, and then how people get there. We have to allow them the ability to get there on their own. We can give them guidance and tools and ways to make sure that they're efficient and get it done the way that we want to do it. But you can't micromanage people. I think while you're doing that, you're actually creating fear of people trying things, and that if you create a bunch of fear that people are going to get in trouble for doing it their way or a little differently than you would, no one will do anything. No one will feel empowered. And I think as owners, you really need to, if you want to grow and have a successful business, you have to figure out ways to let people do their jobs and empower them. And because you can't do everything in your business. And I think a small business person tends to struggle with this a lot because at the beginning they are doing everything. They're doing the cooking, they're bringing the food out, maybe they have one assistant, and as you grow and are more successful, you can't do everything. It's impossible. So you need to be able to rely on people and let them grow. And it's a huge area I think that restaurant owners struggle with.
Well, it comes back to trust, doesn't it? And I think it comes back to the coaching, the mentoring. Uh, if I look at some different people that I've worked with over time, I have a friend who, was not confident, but I'll tell you, once you trained and spent time with her, you want her on board. You want her to take over a lot more. And I think sometimes we just, we're so used to being in control, it's hard to relinquish that control. It's hard to delegate and say, here, I want you to do this. And I think that's the part, as you said, we all struggle with that. And I have to admit, I wrote a seminar on how to effectively delegate, and when I finished writing the program, I thought, I need help with this because I'm guilty of wanting to do it all and being afraid to hand it over. So I think that's a struggle for all of us, especially when we're used to doing it a certain way and we know it works this way, and, I've got to trust this person that they're going to do it as well as me. And that's a huge leap of faith, I think, on all of our parts to be able to say, hey, look, you can do it. But by the same token, I've got to give you the tools, and I've got to be patient, and I think that's the key. If you're not patient, if you just say, here, I want you to do this, I'm not going to give you any training, I'm not going to give you any coaching, and then the person messes up, well, who's to blame? Not the person. You know what? You didn't set them up for success to begin with. So take a look at what you are doing within your restaurant. Take a look at those diamonds in the rough, because I'm sure that there's people in there that could be outstanding if you're willing to put the time and the effort into them. And you know what? They'll surprise you. Give them the tools. Explain to them. Get them to do it a few times. First couple of times, you know what? They're going to be slow. They might even mess up. Well, you know what? We learn from our mistakes. Be there for them. Encourage them. Don't beat them up or in the matter of speaking or get upset with them when they make that mistake. Look at, well, what have I learned and how are we going to change? What do I need to do to help you? Because sometimes we play the blame game without looking at, well, did we set the person up for success to begin with?
Well, it's every really really successful restaurant owner that I've talked to, they all seem to agree on this one point: is that their best superstar employees, they grew. They came in as a dishwasher or as a busser or as someone, and they grew them into a manager, and because they don't come with all these bad habits or ideas of ways in which things needed to be done somewhere else, and as a result of that, I think so often restaurant owners they're always commenting exactly that. Well, I really want to be able to I just can't seem to find these superstar staff or the kind of people that I want. The reality of it is, you probably already have them. You just have to grow them to take on the responsibilities that you want. It's not very likely that you can go out and it's harder to go out and find someone that's at a higher level status, say a manager, someone, and bring them into your business and then like expect them not to come in with any bad habits that they've learned somewhere else. You're going to be far more likely to find someone that's going to fit into your system, believe in what you're doing and in your vision, that you grow yourself. That's why what we're talking about, I think, is really, really important, because oftentimes I think people are asking the wrong question. They're looking to find the superstar staff that's external to their company already, and like you mentioned, they probably already have some jewels in the rough, and it's probably more likely that they're going to grow them from within than they're going to go find a superstar and just plug them in and that they're going to be off to the races.
Think
That's
think
harder.
think about this, Roy. If you've got an employee that has started off from the dishwasher and works their way up, think about the respect of the other employees. Not only that, but you know what? They're not sitting on their pedestal on their ivory tower. They've been there. They've been where all these people have been. And they'll pitch in because you know what? They've done it. They're not going to hesitate at picking up a mop. They're not going to hesitate to grab a knife and chop some vegetables up for the chef because things are busy and somebody didn't make it into work. They're going to be there for you. So if you can find it, and let's face it, it's not the only way you're going to find it is by knowing your people. You're not going to be able to find that diamond in the rough if you don't totally look at that person and understand where that person is coming from. That's where it comes from. Not as strangers of, yeah, I hired him and yeah, he's just, you hear it, oh, he's just the dishwasher. No. He's not just the dishwasher, because without him, where's the rest of the business? So when you can actually get to know your employees, and that comes back to your turnover, that comes back to the respect, that comes back to people doing anything for you, because you know what? You've taken the time. You care about them as a person. You understand where they're coming from. You understand their strengths. You understand the areas that they're not great at, and you accept that because nobody's perfect. And that's where you find that diamond in the rough. That's where you grow it from. But you have to know your people in order to know what they're good at. What are they going to school for? As a human resource manager, I would ask people, so what really, really motivates you? And they say, well, it has nothing to do with the job I'm applying for. And I'd say, well, yeah, but what's your love? And, well, I'd love to be a singer. I'd love to do this. Absolutely nothing to do with the job. But you know what? That was their passion. Tap into what they love. Tap into who they are as a person. That's when you find the diamond in the rough. That's when you find the dishwasher or the prep person that you can mold into being part of your management team down in the future.
Well, it kind of touched on this whole idea of everybody taking responsibility and ownership of their performance on the job, and I think there's probably a link there to turnover, which we can get into next. But how do you get everybody on board in terms of taking ownership and responsibility of their performance on the job?
I think refer back to the training, the mentoring, the coaching, the building trust, and that's basically what I just said 2 seconds ago. It's easy to play the blame game or yell and scream when something goes wrong. When we're proactive instead of being reactive, when we're positive, looking at the bright side and willing to change. I look at, and I say it all the time, whether I'm teaching health and safety or whatever it is I'm doing, choose your attitude, make someone's day. Not only your customer's day, so I'll come back, but make each other's day. And I think that's where it's at. If you build a positive environment where people want to come to work, where they want to see you, where they want to talk to you, where you're personable, if you can communicate with your employees, let them know your expectations. Remove the barriers so that, hey, if they make a mistake, they'll say, I messed up. Yeah, that's okay. What did we learn from that? And you move on. Explain the benefits to them when you make some changes. I think a lot of the problem is we don't communicate to our employees. We don't let them know what's going on. And then they're in the dark, and you know what? Perception's terrible because they have all these conceived things of what's going on which isn't true at all. Include them in the process. You want to do well, and you've got some